Welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here, and we are doing actually a proper meat and potatoes and veggies dinner today instead of something that's all mixed up together, which is what we usually do. I'm going to teach you how to make meatloaf because everybody needs to have a good meatloaf in their pocket. This one, when you get your package, you're going to have it made with ground beef. Today we're actually going to use lentils because I want this one to be, well, not completely plant-based, but vegetarian. And it just goes to show you how versatile it is. You can use ground pork, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground combination of those sorts of things. You can put lentils in with the beef if you want to stretch your meat dollar a little bit. You know how I love lentils and ground beef together because it's inexpensive, it's a good source of protein, high in iron. Lots of really good things about mixing those two together. But for today's purposes, we're going to go strictly with lentils instead of ground meat. So we've got all our ingredients together. We're actually, the menu, I should tell you, is meatloaf, Hasselback potatoes, which are a very fancy kind of roast potato, and honey spiced carrots. So it'll make a really nice meal for your family. So we have the lentils, which I have drained already, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, an egg. Your recipe calls for breadcrumbs, which you will have, but again, this is a really good substitution. We're going to use quick oats. Basically, when you're making a meatloaf, you want to put something in it with the meat because it makes it a little softer. If you do just a straight meatloaf, it can be quite firm, and the texture, I mean, you know, some people like it. I don't, so I always throw in quick oats or breadcrumbs or even, you know, ground cereal. Just depends on what you've got. That's the beauty of this. It's kind of mix it all up and work with what you've got. Yeah, so there's the oats, we've got the cheese, we've got the cumin, the potato, carrots, egg, and I think we are ready to go. So first thing we do is we're gonna dice the onion. So we want this to be fairly fine. Now I'm gonna chop this up really fine. You can grate it, is a really good way to make it super fine. Just depends on, you know, how big you like your onion chunks, right? Not everybody likes them big. So there's the onion, goes into the bowl. And we're going to add the lentils. We're going to add some oats. Now your recipe calls for 1.5 cups of soft breadcrumbs. Pardon me, 3/4 of a cup. So we're going to use 3/4 of a cup of oatmeal. And we're going to put some mayonnaise in there. Mayonnaise is gives you good flavor, gives it moisture, nice things like that. So calls for 1/2 cup. And in this case, I'm just going to wing it. This is one of those things where I don't measure when I make my meatloaf. That's the beauty of meatloaf. So a couple tablespoons of barbecue sauce. That's another great way to give it easy flavor. So there's 1, there's 2. I'm gonna get my fingers in here and get kind of gnarly and gross, but that's okay. Clean hands, it's all good. The best way to mix it all up is with your hands too. So there's that. Wipe them always. And cheddar cheese. So cheddar cheese. Again, you could use whatever cheese you happen to have on hand. I happen to like cheddar. You can grate it in if you like. I'm going to cut it up in chunks because then you get nice big melty gobs of cheese in your meatloaf, which is really yummy. So we're going to stack it into slices like this, and then we're going to cut it into chunks. I actually have a really good grater that's got great big holes on it, which I sometimes use. But I'm going to go on the assumption that not all of you have one of those, so I'm showing you how to do it with a knife. So there's that. And your cheese. If you wanted to go completely plant-based, you can buy vegan mayonnaise. You can buy diet cheese shreds. They work really well. And this is a great meal for that. So I'm gonna put in the cheese chunks. And then we are going to bind it all together with a beaten egg. So that's what holds it together. Egg does a whole bunch of different things. It binds things, it adds flavor, it helps things rise. So this is how this is gonna look. So if you were using ground meat, it would look almost exactly the same. Look at that. The egg is going to hold all these lovely ingredients together. Got that all mixed up. And we're going to put it into a baking dish. Now, again, with the baking of it, I like to put it into a shallow dish because then it bakes a lot faster. You can bake it in a loaf pan. You can make it into muffin tins, and then you bake individual meatloafs, which are kind of fun, and they work really well. Especially you can freeze them like that, and then just pop a couple out of the freezer if you just want 1 or 2 people for dinner. That works quite well, and again, they cook super, super fast. So there's our mixture going into the oven. All right. Over here, that's going in. Put it on bake at 350 for about, whoopsie. Do I know what I'm doing? No, there. Got it set for now. So, next thing we're gonna do is our Hasselback potatoes. So, these are basically, it's just a baked potato, but it's kind of a fun way to do them, and the presentation is fancy. So you take a whole potato, scrub it, chopsticks if you have them. If not, you have to be super careful. Line your chopsticks up on either side of the potato. And here's the cool trick. This is why you use the chopstick. When you put your knife, the knife stops at the chopstick, so it doesn't go all the way through the potato. So then you cut it into thin slices. I'm gonna say anywhere between 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick, or in your case, that's 2 to 4 millimeters. I'm old, remember? I learned the imperial system, which nobody learns anymore. So you may lose the end piece, because that's about how thick I want you to cut them. And that gives you a rough idea. So there, that's all you have to do for your Hasselback potatoes. And then we're gonna put those in a dish as well. Oh, you know what I forgot to get out? I forgot the oil. So, a little bit of oil on the top, like that. I also forgot to get out the salt and pepper. Goodness me, I'm slacking off today. Okay, let's go. Got yummy, yummy, yummy. A little bit of salt on the top, a little bit of pepper on the top, and then that too goes into the toaster oven or the oven with your meatloaf at the same time. So they bake together. That's the beauty of this dish. There you go. And then we're going to make our carrots. So I like to use a saucepan for these. Carrots, lots of them in the grocery store. These are organic. My food snob comes out. I don't want to eat baby carrots. They don't, to me, don't taste like carrots. I want carrots to taste like they did when I picked them out of the backyard when I was a kid growing up and my parents grew them. organic carrots taste like that. So, you know, wherever you can, that's the way to buy them. They don't need peeling. They just need a good scrub. All your fiber and your nutrition and benefits are in the skin, so try not to take it off. I mean, if it's a gnarly looking carrot and it needs to be peeled, then by all means peel it, but if not, just a good scrub. So we're gonna cut the end off this one, feed it to your dog if your dog likes crunchy things like mine does, and then we are going to slice your carrots into coins, just like this. Evenly sliced as best you can. Try not to chop your fingers off. So that's basically what you want. Nice discs like that. Okay. Then they go into the saucepan. And you add a tiny little bit of water. Oh, there's my oven temperature reached. And onto the stove. Give it a nice good heat. Because you want to cook these really quickly, just like we did with the sauteing of the broccoli and the onions with the beef and broccoli. So, because I mean, I happen to like mushy carrots, but not everybody does. So you can cook them until they're the consistency that you like. But just a little bit of water in the frying pan like that works really well. Throw in some salt. Now remember, we've talked about, you know, the longer the food is in the contact with salt, the less salt you need. So I'm going to put in a generous amount of salt in there. And we are going to crank that up so that it gets going. And give those a quick saute. And I forgot to get the butter out. Honest. Maybe I have some. Oh, look at this. Sometimes I surprise even myself. Yay, butter! Okay, so we're going to get this going. Nice and fast, high heat. The water just helps steam it. And I've just used water rather than oil because I do want them to steam a little bit. You can see how quickly it's boiling. And by the time the water's gone, your carrots will be really nice. So, carrots are really, really good source of vitamin A. No, vitamin A is good for your eyes. Did you know that? There's a, you know, it's one of those old things like rabbits like carrots and they have good eyesight, or at least it was when I was a kid growing up. So we're just going to keep sauteing that very gently and quickly. Won't take too long at all. I'm doing this right away just for the benefit of the video. But you would start this about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes before your potatoes and meatloaf are done, so that everything is ready at the same time. That's sometimes one of the most challenging things about cooking, you know, 3 separate components to a meal, is getting the timing right, so that, because you don't want these sitting getting cold, and by the same token, you don't want to rush your meat or your potatoes because you want them to be properly cooked. So this is coming along nicely. Won't be too long now. I'm going to cook it until all the water's evaporated. Depending on how much you put in there to start with, you may need more, you may need less. You certainly don't want to cook it dry. That would just be a hot mess. It would burn and be nasty. So there, we are just about done. There, that looks perfect. So I am going to turn this way down now. Way down to low. I'm going to add my butter. butter. And then I'm going to get the honey and the cumin. Now you don't have to use the cumin. I happen to really like it with honey, but it's a little bit of honey in there. There's your cumin. A little bit of cumin. And just saute that around. Let that heat through a little bit so that the honey gets all melted with the butter. This is one of my favorite ways to have carrots. The other one I really like is maple syrup on them. I just happen to really like sweet stuff, in case you hadn't noticed. So there's your carrots. And now, thanks to the magic of television, as I always say, I have the meatloaf is ready. The potatoes are ready. We're going to keep cooking them, but the ones I cooked earlier are done. So we're going to take that out and plate it for you and show you what it looks like. So, a nice plate. Now, this is the meatloaf all cooked up. You can see there's a lot of grease in there, which you want to drain off. So I'm just going to get my cutting board. Make sure you don't pour the grease down the drain though, because then it'll clog your drain, and that makes a nasty mess. So, the meatloaf comes out. We're going to cut that into slices. Sometimes it'll crumble, like it is in this case. Sometimes it doesn't. If you want to get all fancy pants, you can arrange your slices in a nice pattern like that. And then we've got the Hasselback potato. Look at this. See how it fans out? How cool is that? So you can put that on your plate. Now you can also, if you want, for presentation purposes, you can put a little bit more butter or oil on the top of it. Would be nice. A little pat of butter on the top, like that. You could sprinkle a little more salt if you like. And then we're going to put our carrots on the plate. Just like that. And there you have it. A beautiful meal for your family. What do you think, folks? I hope you enjoy that, and that your family enjoys it, and you especially like the fanciness of it. You know, sweet potatoes are really good done like this too. Just saying, a little bit of maple syrup dribbles on the top. So anyway, let me know how it turns out for you, and have fun, and I'll see you next week. Bye.